Hey guys, Joel Haver and
Dax Flynn.
And we just put out a movie on Friday, right?
Yes.
And I'm so happy to see people enjoying it. The comments have been a blast to read. And I think some people were wondering how Dax and I met, which is, I don't know if it's a fun story, but it's the story.
True.
Yeah. So Dax made this documentary, Indoor Garden.
Yep.
In 2018?
Yeah, I think I released it in 2018.
Maybe 2019.
Maybe released it in 2019,
yeah.
but filmed it at the end of 2017. 4 years ago.
I've known about your stuff forever, like back when everyone knew about your stuff, but I was still watching your stuff leading up to Indoor Garden, and I reached out and I said, literally the week it came out, just randomly I sent you an email and I was like, I'm so excited for this movie. I just released my movie Island, so I sent you that. I'm like, if you want, check this out. And I think you watched it while you were exporting.
Mm-hmm, yeah, in the night I was exporting Indoor Garden onto YouTube because I had to do a lot of different exports and get the HD right and all that and stuff because I hadn't really exported a big project or Premiere before. And then I was watching in Island while I was waiting, and then we kind of emailed about that, and I was like, wow, this is excellent cinematography. So then whenever we were making this movie, I said to Joel, wow, I remember watching that and thinking excellent cinematography, and then it was interesting because I was watching the dailies from this movie and was just like, wow, now I'm in that cinematography.
Yes. And then I love Indoor Garden is the final thought I'll throw on that little story. I when it came out, I emailed him how much I loved it. I really think it's beautiful. It's on his YouTube channel, worth watching. And I was coming to LA. I've been doing a cross-country van trip, and I was about 4 months, roughly 3 to 4 months to get from Massachusetts to LA, and I think I was coming down the West Coast when I sent you not an email. I think at this point we were just texting because we did some collabs together.
Yeah, because I played the elf in the audition video animation.
He was in some of my animations. I was in some of your shorts.
Yeah.
He did I played a guy on a cell phone.
And you played me.
And I played
an alternate reality me.
Yeah, you from another dimension. And so coming to LA, I reached out and I said, hey, I want to make a feature-length movie. You down? And
absolutely.
And you said yes.
Let's do it.
And I got there, and literally the first day in LA, we just started brainstorming, and second day we were filming, and the whole thing is improvised. We kind of the only thing we'd write is what scenes we filmed. And then we'd have to mentally connect the dots. We'd be like, okay, we just did this scene. What will get your character from here to there? And then we had to fill in those dots.
And you knew the first scene.
Yeah, the first scene. By the time I got there, I had a general idea of how I wanted it to start. So we did that first.
There was someone I talked to today who was raving about that setup also.
Oh, the first scene. Yeah, I love the first scene. It's great, but. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything you want to say about the experience?
It was really fun to do. I was so impressed with how quickly you put it together and how well it came out. And when I was watching it, I was just so impressed. The cinematography is awesome. And reading the comments and stuff has been really cool. And reading the reviews on Letterboxd.
Yeah, I love reading those.
yeah. I've read every single one of them except for today's. I haven't looked at it today.
Awesome. Yeah, so just thank you in general. I know it's a lot to commit an hour or 15 to watch somebody's movie. So thank you everyone who watched it. It's up on the channel. If you haven't watched it, it's called Drowning in Potential. And yeah.
Thank you for putting me in it. And thank you for watching it. It's on Joel's channel.
My friend Tom got me this cake sent as a surprise for finishing the movie, which is just about one of the sweetest things somebody has done for me. And my friend Linnea shot the photo that's on the poster. It's such a good picture, and if you've seen the movie, you know she's also in the movie taking these photos, which is a funny two birds with one stone situation. Get a scene for the movie and make a poster at the same time. So thank you, Tom and Linnea. When I released my movie, Pretend That You Love Me, I did a video where I just sat down and talked candidly to the camera about filmmaking. And I'd like to do that again. If you want to see that video, it's called You're Already a Filmmaker. And I think it touches upon a lot of my philosophy regarding filmmaking, but I want to continue that here and just say that this movie cost $0 to make. And this isn't one of those $0 that's actually $100,000 or $10,000. You know, when Dax and I were making it, we hung out with some Hollywood people, and we told them we're making a $0 movie, and the first question they asked is, how are you getting funding? And we're like, we just said it's $0. And there's all these myths around filmmaking that I just want to address head on here. But okay, it was made for $0, no script, totally improvised, no crew. It was always just me and Dax. I have the same camera that I've had for 2 years to make all my shorts, and the same microphones, just these lavalier microphones, and that's all I use. I don't use any lights. I hate lighting. I just let stuff look how it actually looks in real life. And it was made in 2 weeks, totally improvised in 2 weeks, and edited in a month. And I did all the editing, not to take credit away from Dax, but just like, you can do it alone, I guess, is the more important note there. But yeah, there's all these myths around filmmaking and how you're supposed to make movies, and they have to be laborious and they have to be expensive. And you know, I'm at a point in my career, a year ago I had 3,000 subs, hardly any views on anything I made. But I'm at a point in my career where I could get a budget. I could easily secure funding for $100,000, $1 million movie. I could get distribution because I know I have the confidence that I have the technical know-how, I have the proof of concept, the proof that I've made stuff in the past. I could get a budget. It's not a situation where I'm doing this anymore, even though my first 9 features, my first 8 features were because I had no money. I'm still doing it to make a point, and that's that this is a valid form of filmmaking. You can make a movie for $0 and it could look good, it could sound good. It doesn't have to, it could look bad. There's all sorts of aesthetics you could embrace to go with your limitations. If you're shooting on a cell phone or VHS camera, lean into that. But my point is, filmmaking doesn't have to be tied to expense. It doesn't have to be this art form that is just intrinsically expensive as people treat it as it is. You know, people like they say, I'm making a $0 movie. How much money are you spending on it? It's like, it's in the name. It's so ridiculous. We say low budget when something costs $1 million. It's like, oh, that was only made for $1 million. When are you ever gonna see $1 million in your life? Quit that crap. We need to like tell people you can make movies for no money. You got cell phones. You know what cell phones have? They have great cameras and they have great microphones that if you could dub a whole movie using cell phones and you'd have both great visuals and audio. That's all you need to make a movie. So, so let me get on track here. If I can show people that I'm willfully still doing this, because not only do I think it's a way to make films, I think it's the best way to make films. I think it detaches it from all this performative nature of filmmaking that most art doesn't run into. Most art in the classical definition of art, like painting and you know, drawing and music even, but music is a little commercial, but it detaches it from this performative thing where you have to prove yourself. You have to make a movie, you have to make a short to make a better short to make a movie, and each of those has to go to Sundance, and each of those has to get distribution, or you know, some guy in a suit has to be like, that's a good movie, here's more money. You don't have to impress anyone. Success is not a performative act. Success is not something that is given to you. It is something that you feel inside. And stop looking to other people to feel successful. Stop looking to other people to feel like your work is valid. Because your work is valid from the moment you feel compelled to make it. And it's valid through the moment no one watches it and you just dump it on YouTube. If no one watched my movies, I'd still feel damn good about them because I made something. And you need to reach that point, because until then you are gonna hit all these roadblocks. You're gonna get all these people telling you this, telling you that. And just like, you have to have the ability in your head to not care. And you have to have the ability in your head to just make stuff. And that's the best thing I learned at film school, which is what I really talked about in my other rant, is there's all these rules and conventions and ways to make movies. You need a crew that people, film sets in like college when we were also working with no money, for some reason opted to have 20 people doing this and that. You have all these arbitrary roles that were invented back in the 30s and we still use them. You got gaffers, you got a cinematographer. This guy only touches the extension cords. This guy only touches himself in the corner. That's me on most sets. Not really, don't want to get accused here. But everything you hear about filmmaking is a suggestion. Everything you hear at best is a suggestion. A lot of it's a bad suggestion, but it's a suggestion. It's not a law. There's no laws to art. There's no do this or you're doing it wrong. Even on the movie, I got comments like, "There's no story. There's no story. This isn't a movie. There's no story." It's like, what's the arbitrary amount of exciting things that needs to happen for it to be considered a story? What's the arbitrary amount of shots, edits, money spent that makes it need to be considered a movie? The answer is there is none. It's all a lie. People who try to gatekeep are jealous. People who try to gatekeep are scared that you're going to make something better than them. People who try to gatekeep are stinky. They smell bad. They need to go take a dang shower. Because I'm repeating myself, but if you're creating in an art form, you should want as many people creating in that art form as possible. Because art is not about this competition. Art is not about it's only competition when you're competing for seats in a theater, spots in a film festival, sales of any sort. That's what makes it a competition. Otherwise, filmmaking should just be this communal thing where we're like, "Oh, great movie, dude, I love it. I can't wait to see your movie." And that's happening. More than ever, that's happening. But people still don't get exposed to it because I think, not to insult people too much, but they're kind of slaves to the algorithm, slaves to the system, just showing them what it wants to show them, and people are so exhausted from their day-to-day lives that they don't have a moment to think, "Oh, maybe there's something better." It's like, sure, I'll watch the new HBO movie that sucks ass because at least it's easier than trying to find my own thing to watch. It's like, all you need to do to start, whether it's making art or enjoying art, is just take a step away from what people show you. And this isn't for my own sake. I'm not saying everyone should be watching my movies. I'm saying there's so many good people making great stuff on YouTube. And I know YouTube is still a corporation, and there's still that gray area where it's like, okay, you're still supporting Google. That's not that good. But for the time being, YouTube is the best place because you can make stuff yourself, release it yourself. It has the biggest viewership audience in the world. Where else could I get 100,000 views in the first day on a $0 movie? That wouldn't happen anywhere. You can't, because the second I submit to a festival, it's not a $0 movie, it's a $100 movie. And, people are asking like, "Joel, are you going to submit this to festivals?" Firstly, You can't if you release it, which is a shitty rule. They want to have your premiere status. So if you have already released the movie, these festivals are like are kind of gatekeeping your own movie because they want to be the ones who premiere it. But then you're sitting on your own artwork for 6 months and you can't show it to your fans. And if you go to a festival with a movie, it's like, okay, great, my movie got into Sundance. The people who have the money and the time to go to Sundance are going to see the movie before my fans. It's like in a day and age where I can just make a movie and literally 2 days after it's done, just release it online to all of my fans. It's like, why would I just release it to a bunch of people at a festival who might just clap? Some of them might walk out during the movie. If a scene's boring or something, they might just leave. It's like, why perform to a group of people that are also just hoping that you're watching their performance, if that makes sense? Because I feel like there's a lot of dick measuring in filmmaking where people watch stuff because it is this competition thing. It's not like, wow, this person's doing something really exciting with the art form. It's okay, good, they're not doing something better than me. Okay, this doesn't invalidate my thing. It's like, art is art. It exists. It can exist on its own, separate from your thing. And this sounds very defensive, but I've had a lot of people in my life look at my art that I've made for no money and tell me it's not real because it was made for no money. And how dumb is that? Because can poor people not make art? It's like, if one of the most powerful things you could do in art is depict suffering and struggling, why invalidate the artwork by the people who suffer and struggle the most, other than just to keep them down and keep them quiet and keep them watching your Disney Plus movie of the month? I'll avoid becoming too anti-corporate conspiratorial in this rant. I just want to say that you can make a movie and not just like, experimental movies are valid, they're great, but when you think of a $0 movie, your mind goes to, oh, it's weird, it's like loose, it's very, and it doesn't have to be that. You can make a movie that looks and sounds like a full-ass story-driven movie for $0 because you got a camera, you got a microphone, you could edit on your phone. I'm sure somebody has a laptop, and our movie took 2 weeks to shoot. And, even if you're working a full-time job, shoot it on weekends. 2 weeks takes 7 weekends, just shoot it over the weekends with your friends and you could have a movie too. I did a movie called Forget About Everything for a while. That took 6 days to shoot. So that's only 3 weekends that you have to work on a movie rather than hanging out or watching Netflix or something, So it's just so possible. And I think most people, if they gave it a chance, would love filmmaking or love art of any kind. I guess let's open this up more broadly. This what I'm saying could be applied to most art forms. It's just worth creating. It's worth doing it for yourself. Because in the times in my life where I've been devastated, I've gone through loss, I've gone through a breakup, I've gone through this. Art was the one thing that kept me around. It's the one thing that kept me grounded. Sometimes not grounded, but sometimes it just allowed me to express something, to have fun, to have something to show for my time, to create something for others as well as myself. And it's worth trying. If that art is not filmmaking for you, do whatever you want to do. Just create something, make a poem. I did a year where I wrote a poem every night, and that felt good. Yeah, I just did my notes app on my phone. So just do something creative. And I just want to give a huge thank you to everyone involved in the movie. Dax and I, we had such a blast. I've always wanted to make a movie with Dax. He's such a good actor, and I just wanted to get him in something. And all of our friends who came through and acted in the movie. That was amazing. Some of them were new friends, people we literally met while we were making the movie, and they just stumbled into our lives, or and it's been a blast seeing all of them enjoy it. And yeah, thank you so much. I hope this wasn't too much of a ramble, but I love you guys. Have a great night. Watch the movie if you haven't. It's called Drowning in Potential. Bye-bye.